Java multithreading, from zero to synchronized. If you have ever wondered how Java runs multiple things at the same time, or what synchronized actually does, or why your code sometimes gives wrong answers when two threads touch the same variable, this video is for you. We will start from the absolute basics, what a thread even is, and slowly build up to synchronized, volatile, and the classic producer-consumer pattern. No prior knowledge needed. Let us begin. Let us start from the very beginning. When you run any program, the operating system creates something called a process. A process is just a running program with its own memory. Now inside that process, you can have multiple threads. Think of threads as many workers inside the same factory. They all share the same warehouse, which is the heap memory, but each worker has their own personal notepad, which is the stack. Every Java program starts with one thread called the main thread. That is the one that runs your main method. But you can create more threads to do work in parallel. Why would you want that? Because modern CPUs have 4, 8, even 16 cores. If you use just one thread, you are wasting all those cores. A web server, for example, uses threads to handle hundreds of requests at the same time without making anyone wait. Now let us see how to actually create threads in Java. There are 4 ways, and they evolved over time. The oldest way, from Java 1.0, is to extend the thread class. You create a class, extend thread, and override the run method. Whatever you put inside run is what the thread will execute. Then you create an object of your class and call start, not run. This is super important. If you call run directly, it just runs on the same thread like a normal method call. No new thread is created. The start method actually tells the operating system to create a new thread, and that new thread then calls run internally. The problem with this approach? Java does not support multiple inheritance. So if your class already extends something else, you cannot extend thread. That is why the runnable approach was invented. Way number 2 is to implement the runnable interface. Instead of extending thread, you implement runnable and put your logic in the run method. Then you pass your runnable object to a new thread constructor and call start. This is the preferred way because your class is free to extend other classes. Way number 3 is the cleanest, using lambdas from Java 8. Since runnable is a functional interface with just one method, you can replace all that boilerplate with a simple arrow function. Just write new thread, open parenthesis, arrow, your code, close, dot start. Beautiful and concise. There is also a way for callable with future, which actually returns a value from the thread. We will cover that in the next video on modern concurrency. Every thread in Java goes through a life cycle of 6 states. State 1 is new. You have created the thread object but have not called start yet. State 2 is runnable. Once you call start, the thread is ready to run. It might be running on a CPU core, or it might be waiting for the scheduler to pick it up. State 3 is blocked. This happens when a thread tries to enter a synchronized block but another thread already holds that lock. It just sits there waiting. State 4 is waiting. This is when a thread calls wait or join with no timeout. It will wait forever until someone wakes it up. State 5 is timed waiting. Same idea but with a timeout. For example, thread.sleep with 1000 milliseconds. After the time passes, it goes back to runnable. State 6 is terminated. The run method finished. The thread is dead. And here is a key interview question. Can you restart a dead thread? No. Calling start again throws an illegal thread state exception. Once dead, always dead. You have to create a new thread object. Let us talk about the most important thread methods. Sleep makes the current thread pause for a given time. It takes milliseconds. The thread goes into timed waiting state. But notice, sleep can throw interrupted exception, so you always need a try catch. Join is very useful. When you call t.join on another thread, your current thread stops and waits until thread t finishes completely. This is how you say, hey main thread, wait for the worker to finish before continuing. Interrupt sets a flag on the thread. If the thread is sleeping or waiting, it throws an interrupted exception immediately. If the thread is running, it just sets the flag and the thread has to check it manually. Yield is a polite hint to the scheduler saying I am willing to let other threads run. But the scheduler can ignore it. isAlive tells you if the thread has started and has not terminated yet. Now here is where things get dangerous. Look at the simple counter class. It has a count variable and an increment method that does count plus plus. Looks harmless, right? But count plus plus is not a single operation. The CPU actually does three things: read the value, add 1, write it back. Now imagine two threads call increment at the exact same time. Thread A reads count and sees 5. Thread B also reads count and also sees 5. Thread A adds 1 and writes 6. Thread B also adds 1 and writes 6. We called increment twice, so count should be 7. But we got 6. One update was completely lost. This is called a race condition, and it is the number one bug in multithreaded code. The scary part is, it does not happen every time. It depends on timing. Your code might work fine in testing and break randomly in production. So how do we fix this? Enter synchronized. The synchronized keyword is Java's built-in way to prevent race conditions. When you mark a method as synchronized, Java puts a lock on it. Only one thread can enter that method at a time. All other threads have to wait. Every Java object has something called an intrinsic lock or monitor. When a thread enters a synchronized method, it acquires this lock. When it exits, it releases the lock. Other threads see the lock is taken and go into the blocked state until it is free. You can also use a synchronized block instead of a synchronized method. This gives you more control because you can lock only the critical part of the code. The non-critical parts before and after the synchronized block can still run in parallel, which is better for performance. The key takeaway: synchronized guarantees that only one thread at a time executes the protected code. It fixes race conditions, but it has a cost. Threads waiting for the lock are doing nothing, just sitting idle. There is a nasty problem with synchronized called deadlock. Imagine thread A holds lock 1 and now wants lock 2. At the same time, thread B holds lock 2 and wants lock 1. Both threads are waiting for each other, and neither can move forward. Your program just hangs silently. No error, no exception, just stuck forever. This is a classic interview question. How do you prevent deadlock? The simplest rule is, always acquire locks in the same order. If every thread always locks A first then B, you can never get a circular wait. Another approach is to use try-lock with a timeout, which we will see in the next video with reentrant lock. If you cannot get the lock in 5 seconds, give up. Deadlocks are hard to debug because they are timing dependent. Your code might run fine 1,000 times and deadlock on the 1,001st run. Now let us talk about a sneaky problem called the visibility problem. Look at this worker class. One thread runs the work method in a loop, checking the running flag. Another thread calls stop to set running to false. You would expect the loop to stop, right? But it might run forever. Why? Because modern CPUs have caches. When the work thread reads running, it might cache that value in the CPU register or L1 cache. It never goes back to main memory to check the latest value. So even though the other thread set running to false in main memory, the work thread is still reading true from its local cache. The fix is a volatile keyword. When you declare a variable as volatile, Java guarantees that every read goes to main memory and every write goes to main memory. No caching. But here is the important distinction: volatile fixes visibility but not atomicity. Count plus plus with volatile is still broken because it is 3 operations. For that you need synchronized or atomic integer. Let me make this crystal clear because this is a very common interview question. Volatile and synchronized solve different problems. Volatile only fixes visibility. It makes sure every thread reads the latest value from main memory. But it does not make compound operations like count plus plus atomic. Synchronized fixes both visibility and atomicity. When a thread exits a synchronized block, it flushes all changes to main memory. And since only one thread enters at a time, compound operations are safe. So when do you use which? If you have a simple Boolean flag like isRunning or isDown, where one thread writes and others read, volatile is perfect and very lightweight. But if you have something like count plus plus, or transferring money between accounts where you read, modify, and write, you need synchronized. Volatile is faster because there is no lock and no blocking. Synchronized is safer but threads have to take turns. The last topic for this video is the wait notify pattern, used in the classic producer-consumer problem. Imagine a shared buffer. Producers add items, consumers take items. If the buffer is full, producers should wait. If empty, consumers should wait. Here is how it works. The produce method is synchronized. If the queue is at capacity, the producer calls wait. This does two things. It releases the lock and puts the thread to sleep. When a consumer takes an item, it calls notify all, which wakes up all waiting producers. The producer then reacquires the lock and continues. Similarly, the consume method calls wait when the queue is empty and notify all after taking an item to wake up waiting producers. Two critical rules. Always call wait inside a while loop, not an if. Why? Because of spurious wake-ups, a thread can wake up for no reason. The while loop makes it check the condition again. And always call wait and notify inside a synchronized block, otherwise you get an exception. Let us do a quick recap. A thread is a lightweight worker inside a process. You can create threads using the thread class, runnable interface, lambdas, or callable. Threads go through 6 states from new to terminated. The biggest danger in multithreading is race conditions, when multiple threads modify shared data without synchronization. Synchronize is the basic fix. It lets only one thread in at a time. But be careful of deadlocks when using multiple locks. Volatile fixes the visibility problem for simple flags but does not help with atomicity. And wait notify is how threads communicate in patterns like producer-consumer. In the next video, we will level up to the modern Java concurrency toolkit, executors that manage thread pools for you, completable future for beautiful async code, and virtual threads from Java 21 that change everything. If this helped, hit like and subscribe. See you in part 2.